Welcome to the Property Nomads Podcast, episode 184, 5 podcasts that you have to check out. Before we go into that, just some updates for you and a couple of apologies on our behalf. First of all, anyone that's signed up for the newsletter, you can do that via the website, tpnpodcast.com. Apologies if you've signed up for the newsletter. We actually haven't sent one out for quite a while. We realised that a little while ago. It was pointed out to us. So big apologies for that. We will try and get better at doing that moving forward. So apologies for those on the newsletter and haven't actually received any news. Secondly, it is Euros at the moment. Now, you don't have to appreciate or like football, but if England do end up winning, if England do end up winning it, we'll probably drop a podcast on Monday the 12th or Tuesday the 13th of July. Reason for that, Aaron and I are lucky enough to be able to have tickets to the final at Wembley, and if England do go on and win it, and you can say you were there when England won a major tournament in the stadium, given everything that's going on around the world, we'll probably just end up having a few too many drinks and chat about it and celebrate. So if England do win the Euros, don't be surprised to see a slightly intoxicated podcast come out 12th or 13th of July. Talking of Euros, even if you don't watch football, you've probably seen or read what happened to a Danish football player called Christian Eriksen, who near the end of a game or the end of a half in a game against Finland had a cardiac arrest, stonewall dropped onto the pitch. We were watching it, a couple of us watching it. I think we were all affected in our own way. It was a gorgeous day in terms of weather. And after about 5 minutes of seeing him lying there, being given CPR, even we decided to turn the TV off, go out and have a beer on the beach. Life's too short sometimes. I did jokingly point out that's why I don't do a lot of exercise, because I can have a cardiac arrest whether I'm fat or thin, doesn't really matter. Joking aside, Christian is fine. He's doing better at the time of recording, which is wonderful. It was just a very shocking thing to see. And the poignant thing to come out of that was, life's too short, take the opportunities whilst you can, whether that's, enjoying a nice walk on the beach with your spouse, whether it's going for a beer on the beach with your mates, whether it's taking the time to say I love you to someone, whatever it might be. Just watching that just really hit home on the day. So take opportunities whilst they come. Also on sponsorship, mentioned a while ago we're looking for sponsors. We believe we've got something lined up. Don't want to reveal too much information just yet, but watch out for episodes moving forward, as chances are that our sponsors will be on board by then. So we just got to dot the I's, cross the T's, as they say. And yes, watch out for that. So on to the main content of the episode, 5 podcasts that you have to check out. We get asked quite often, mainly on Instagram messages actually, we get asked quite often, guys, what are you listening to at the moment? You've got a good property podcast, we enjoy listening to it, but actually in your spare time, what are you listening to? And these 5 are in no particular order, and it stuns people when we turn around and say, well, actually we don't listen to a lot of other property podcasts, to be honest. It's not something that we really do, and not because we don't want to listen to other property podcasts. It's just between Aaron and myself. We actually just don't listen to a lot of other ones anyway. That does catch people off guard. So these 5 podcasts are not property related or not property specific. These are ones that we think that you should go out and listen to one way or another, in no particular order. Number 1, starting with the Jordan B. Peterson podcast. Jordan Peterson can be quite divisive in his thoughts, in what he says, in how he says it, in his thinking. He can also be considered quite contrarian. That's probably why I enjoy listening to him. I know on recent episodes he has been speaking to someone that fled North Korea. That was actually a really harrowing episode. I don't know the episode title or the number, but my word, go and check it out. Just staggering listening to what this young lady had to say about her experiences in North Korea and then fleeing from North Korea. But I like Jordan. He's a really good guy. He speaks his mind. He's not afraid to stand up to people. And I love his viewpoints, to be perfectly honest with you. The episodes are quite long, so they are long format. But with the variety of content he has and speaking to a variety of people, he's always challenging the authority. And I respect that and I like that as well. His thing at the moment is talking along the lines of social corruption with academic learning through universities or in universities. And there's been some quite interesting content come out of his show recently. So the Jordan B. Peterson podcast, go and check that out. Second be the Tim Ferriss show. I think maybe we've mentioned this podcast before. Tim's just a great guy. Again, similar to Jordan B. Peterson, he's just a great guy. The episodes are very long format. Recently, he's done a couple of Q&A ones, but he's been speaking to people, again, oddly, about challenging the sort of social dystopia that's going on at present. He's also had the founder of Ethereum on the show as well, various other famous people, Mike Novogratz, who is well into his blockchain technology, looking into that as well. And just a stunning episode, that one. Go and check that out. But in general, the reason I listen to this is the variety of content that Tim produces is great. He's always got superb guests on the show. It's always very insightful. And Tim's a hell of a thinker as well. And I've always tried to base my podcast style or stance on how Tim does his, in terms of how he interviews people on his show. In fact, he sits back and listens most of the time, and then when he does explain it, he's explaining things very thoroughly. But the Tim Ferriss show, go and check that one out. Number 3 is the Rebel Capitalist show with Georgeammon. You might have seen George's videos on YouTube. They're awesome. He's a real estate guy predominantly, but he's anti the Fed. So that's the Federal Reserve. He likes his gold and silver as well. He's basically saying, look, hey, the world's going to go to shit. We're all going to go to shit. Reason for that is people are printing. This is what's down the line. It's possibly going to be an absolute Armageddon, the worst thing we've ever seen. This is how to protect yourself. This is what you should do. This is how you should do it. I think George has also filed a complaint or a claim against the Federal Reserve, looking to take them to court as well. So, hey, amen to you, George. If you're listening to this, take them on. Happy days. And you might think, oh, it's a bit of a doomsayer. It's a bit Armageddon-y. Why does it have to be so negative? This sort of thing has happened before, in terms of a lot of currencies being printed or, currencies being devalued or however you want to call it. It's important to be able to wake up to the fact and realise that it's happening again as you listen to this. And, we all, in my opinion, have to take responsibility for that. And as with anything, training and education is a way forward. Get yourself involved in something, learn from people, get yourself trained, get yourself knowledgeable about it, and then take action. Listening to the Rebel Capitalist show with Georgeammon will help you do that. It'll probably open your eyes into a lot of scary shit that's going on at the moment as well. Number 4 is What is Money? This is done by a guy called Robert Breedlove. He has numerous degrees in financial accounting. Robert's a hell of a Bitcoin lover. He absolutely loves his Bitcoin. He loves the blockchain technology, what it's going to do for the world moving forward. And yeah, he loves his Bitcoin. But I'd go and check it out. He recently done a 5-part series with a British guy called Dominic Frisby, who knows a lot about tax, and he's also a stand-up comedian. Work that one out. But that quintuple I think that's the right word of an episode, the 5 episodes there. Superb, absolute superb content. Robert's incredibly knowledgeable with what he's talking about. He has this vision and he's explaining it in such a clear and concise way that, for me, it made it incredibly enjoyable to listen to. So that is What is Money by Robert Breedlove. And finally, I mean, this is a guy that you've probably read. You've probably read the seminal book that got you into some form of investing in the first place. Oddly, only came across the podcast a little while ago. It's the Rich Dad Radio Show. Yes, talking about predominantly Robert Kiyosaki, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, as you've probably read the book. If you haven't, go and read the book. But do check out the podcast as well. It's everything about money, the good and bad about money, as Robert says. Gets an incredible array of guests on, as you can well imagine. At the moment, Robert's very high up on he's a real estate guy, as you probably already know, but he's very high up on his gold, silver, Bitcoin and Ethereum in the crypto world. He's always having debates with people on the show, people that prefer stocks and bonds and X, Y and Z, but found it very informative. That's the purpose of the Rich Dad Radio Show, is to provide an educational platform for listeners. So I really enjoyed listening to those episodes. Really informative. Go and check it out. I wasn't aware there was a podcast until very recently when I was browsing through my own iTunes, my own Apple podcast. So there's 5 podcasts that you have to check out for various reasons, in no particular order, but just to go through the list again. Number 1 is the Jordan B. Peterson podcast. Number 2 is the Tim Ferriss Show. Number 3, the Rebel Capitalist Show with Georgeammon. Number 4, What is Money by Robert Breedlove. Number 5, the Rich Dad Radio Show, Robert Kiyosaki. Predominantly Robert Kiyosaki. Kim does feature on it every once in a while as well. So go and check them out. You can find the podcasts on whatever podcast platform you listen to, whether that's the Apple Store, Stitcher, Spotify, wherever. Go and check them out. And as always, we appreciate we've not been the best at advertising our own podcast, the Property Nomads Podcast. But if you like the content you listen to, we love feedback. Leaving a really good review on iTunes is the way forward. We appreciate that if you can do that. Also, I recommend the program, recommend the show to each other as well. Tell people about the show. It's always good to reach out to new people, and hopefully our content then helps you to achieve whatever it is you are off to achieve in your life. Coming up in the next few weeks, going over inflation, talking to some various investors on what they're doing at the moment, how they're working within the property market, and also some lifestyle bits and bobs coming up on the show. Until next time, hasta luego.